Welcome to the More Than OK podcast, a wellbeing and family podcast about tips, strategies and stories on how to be more than okay. My name is Belinda Bray. I'm a mum, a wife, a teacher and someone who's always trying to be more than okay. I love learning about wellness and wellbeing, and I love bringing what I learn into my life, my family and my classroom. So I hope what I have for you today is helpful and inspires you to be more than okay. Welcome to another episode of More Than Okay. We have got Rachel Carter here with us today.
Hi.
Hi. So Rachel is the operations manager of a community organisation in Toowoomba called You Belong. So Rachel works with refugees and their families to welcome them into our community. She is also a registered nurse.
I am.
And she's also a parent of our college. So we're really excited to have you today.
Thanks, Belinda. Thanks for having me.
So I've invited Rachel to come in today to talk about kindness in community. And she's a perfect person to talk to. She's working with refugees, she's working with families, and she's working at making Toowoomba a safe place for people to come and relocate.
Yeah, You Belong exists to see refugees thriving in Australia. So we're all about helping refugees feel as though they really belong here in their new home. So we do a lot of social inclusion activities, help them to learn some English, help them to grow through their traumatic experiences and things like that.
So how did you come about doing this?
Well, I was working at MDA, which is Multicultural Development Australia. It's a settlement service. So when the refugees come to Australia, they're picked up literally from the airport by the settlement service that helps them get into school enrolment and organise with the bank and things like that. So I was doing a nursing job with them, and it didn't take long for me to see a big gap, not only for the refugees to be able to join in with their host community with a little bit of support, like with language, but also there weren't many ways where their host community could actually reach out to them, with a little bit of support again.
Yeah.
I could see that gap and I felt like it needed to be filled.
That is awesome. Just to get to know you a little bit better,
Yeah.
I have some quick fire questions.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
How do you have your coffee?
Well, depends on the time of day. Soy cappuccino in the morning, espresso or long black for the rest of the day.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's intense.
It is a bit intense, isn't it?
Okay, what do you like to do on a Friday night?
I think the question is more, what would I like to do on a Friday night? I find myself cruising around town, dropping my kids off and picking them up from youth group and that sort of thing. But maybe if I had my choice, I'd be hanging out with my family at home, or friends, watching a movie, having dinner, playing games,
Great.
Something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was your favourite subject at school? Teacher question.
Oh, I was not an academic, so it was definitely PE, sports.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, yep.
Oh, excellent.
Somewhere, something to be active.
Yeah. So Rachel's also a parent of our college, and I love the story of how you became a parent of our college. So do you want to share that with us?
Sure. I think I was just starting off with You Belong, and I was involved with a refugee family. And this family it was really important for them to give their son an opportunity to go to a Christian school if possible. In the meantime, my children were at a school, we weren't 100% happy with it, and we were humming and hawing whether we should stay or go. Anyway, so I rang up Michael Bray here, the principal at Highlands, and I asked for an interview so we could talk about this refugee child and see if there was any way we could get him here, with a bit of assistance or something. And so I met with Michael and I just completely fell in love with the school.
That's
and
so
I knew
great.
that it was where I needed to be. So I ended up enrolling the refugee child plus my 3 children.
That's so great.
It was obvious the culture that was here.
Yeah. With the You Belong organisation you're working with, I've read through a bit of your the website, and I've talked to you a few times, and you've come into school, and a theme that comes through for me is this idea of kindness. And So I'd like to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
About how, as a community, we can be more kind.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about the refugee part of that as well.
Yeah.
So the idea of kindness for me as a teacher, I see kids being kind all the time. But it is something that we also talk about really overtly, about how to be kind. And it's what I really love about teaching kids how to be kind is it takes a bit of vulnerability.
Oh, yeah.
Takes a bit of courage.
Yes.
Takes a bit of strength to be kind to people.
I really love that definition. But having strength and courage to be kind is definitely something we can learn, and something that we need to do to be kind. How many times have we walked past an opportunity to be kind and worried about, what will people think, or is this going to cost me time, or is this going to cost me money even? And it takes the courage then to step out of your box or step out of your comfort zone to really make someone else actually feel comfortable or welcomed. I really like that courage and strength.
The community of refugees that you work with are mainly the Yazidi people. Did I say it right?
Okay. There's a few different ways of saying it depending on who you talk to. So Azidi or Yazidi.
Okay.
So they're the main cohort of people that have arrived in the last few years. So they are who we are working with, but we also work with any other refugees that are in the city. They've come from Iraq, Syria, and Turkey, from a place called Kurdistan, which sort of covers the corners of all of those countries, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And they've been the victims of genocides many, many times throughout their history. So they've come here to seek a safe place after the genocide in 2014, where a lot of them were taken from their families, a lot of the men were killed, a lot of the women were kidnapped and taken to be used as slaves and sex slaves.
Yeah. So you've come into our school a couple of times and talked to groups of girls about what you do, but you've also brought in some really brave girls who've come and shared their story, and it's so impacting. We just don't have there's no real gauge for us living here. And so one of the things you've said, I've heard you say it to our students, and I've also heard you say it at a breakfast we went to for the You Belong organisation, which was great. Was the importance of smiling.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, that's such a simple thing to do. That's such an easy thing to do. But it was one of the first things you said to show acceptance of people. These people in their home country, they weren't even considered human beings. So for us then to just smile and acknowledge them makes an amazing difference in their life. Or I've learnt hello in a few different languages now, not many, but when you just see their eyes light up, because you can tell when you're meeting a Yazidi person, and I say Chawani Bashi to them, and their faces just light up. It's amazing. So awesome. Just to be able to bring that little bit of light to their lives and have them feel like they do belong here, and that we want them to be here too. Yeah, but it's such a simple human gesture, just a smile. So I've actually I'm not the most smiley person.
There you go.
Especially as a teacher, you have to be kind of, but I've really been working in the last year to just have a bit more of an open face and a bit more smiley, even to the students at school and to people at the shops. And I don't know, it actually makes me feel better too.
Oh, yeah.
So, whenever I talk to you about, or hear you talk about You Belong, there's this little light in your eyes, and there's obviously a passion there.
Yeah.
So, how did you discover this was your passion?
Yeah. It was a long journey for me. I think all my life I'd been this sort of person where I was always aware of that person in the room who was alone or, just needed a friend. And I'd always go and say hi or, do what I can. It just always tugged at my heart. But And I always wanted to be a nurse as well, so I went and did that. And then as my nursing career went along and I had children, I found that I just needed to change where I was working and get out of that night shift and that sort of thing. And I'm always sort of looking for something too. But so I started like in emergency nursing, and then I went to general practice nursing. And it was there that I learned a lot about, general health assessment sort of stuff, and that's what then actually got me into the job with MDA. It was that experience that I'd had in the general practice, not because I'd worked with people that were refugees or migrants or anything like that. So, you know, all these small little stepping stones that I believe God had truly put me in that position at that time for me to learn that skill or whatever it was. And it was just by chance, again, that I found that job in MDA. And again, I believe that was just another stepping stone to You Belong, and, you know, where I feel like I feel like I'm thriving in this, you know, not like I've thrived in any other position before. I feel like it's, you know, home, I guess. And what I really want to be doing. And
that's so great. And it's so great because we're both of about the same age. And I often don't feel as if I know what I want to do. I was just having a conversation with someone just before saying, I'm not sure what I'm meant to be doing. Am I doing the right thing? And she was saying, she said, I've been thinking the same sort of things. And she said, I'm just saying yes to the next thing. And I thought, that's where I feel like I'm at. I just say yes to the next thing, and I hope that's the step to the next thing.
And all will be revealed in time, right?
And we try and set our students up to know what they want to do when they leave school, but it's just taking the next step. And you'll find, hopefully you'll latch onto a passion, and it will take you. That's
frustrating, isn't it, though? Those years where you're sort of wondering, what am I meant to be doing? Even though I sort of thought I was doing what I was meant to be doing in nursing, and it's frustrating. And
then when you look back, you can see all the little stepping stones God's laid out for you.
Absolutely.
And you go, only I was more patient or a little more gracious at that point.
Exactly.
No, it's good. That's great. So the idea of this podcast is for it to be useful, something you can listen to and take some tips away. So there are 5 things that I have done a bit of research on from the You Belong website, and also from some other articles about 5 ways to show kindness in our community. And at first I thought we should do this as something we can teach our children on how to be kind. But the more I thought about it, I thought we actually all need to be reminded. Even as adults, we need to be showing kindness to everybody. The first one we've already touched on, which is to smile. So just smiling shows acceptance and shows that we're friendly. What else can we say about smiling?
Just makes for a better day, right? For yourself, as well as for the person who receives your smile. You don't know how far it's going to go. They could be having a bad day. You never know someone else's journey, right?
That's right. And that leads us to our second topic, which is to look around, which you mentioned right at the start of how you got into You Belong. Look around. Look for the people who are on their own, or who just look a bit down, or who just need encouragement. And
I think if you don't see that in your everyday life, you could always ask, right? There's plenty of organisations out there who are helping vulnerable people, who are supporting, you know, people who are maybe a bit down in life, or so that you can always ring one of those up and ask, you know, how can I get involved?
And you are good at that, because I saw that you slept out homeless the other night.
I slept out homeless, yes. It was a bit chilly, but I survived.
So to raise awareness for homelessness in Toowoomba. So great. So great. So just be part of a community and look for ways to help.
It doesn't take much to see what's happening in your community. Or you can put your blinders on and be completely oblivious to it. I think you've got to go searching sometimes.
Okay, that's cool. Number 3 is to share your life with others. And it's sharing food, sharing resources, sharing your time. And this is something that You Belong does really well. I love the picnics.
Yeah, the picnics are fun.
So tell us about those.
So we invite all the refugees that have arrived in Australia in the last 3 months, and we just love on them in a very lavish way. We roll out a 30-metre long tablecloth and we feed them, and we have lots of activities, and we have lots of opportunities for the host community, us, to interact with the refugees so that you can start to make some connections. And we do that all with interpreters who are there as well, just because otherwise it's really hard, right?
Yeah.
And again, that's just providing that opportunity for the host community to reach out in a supported way, because it's really hard to do otherwise, isn't it?
True. But even in our everyday lives, showing kindness to share meals with people, invite people to your home, share resources. Like, one way to be really kind is also things like donate decent clothes.
Yes.
To charity shops or things like that, and just continue to look out, but then also share what we have.
One of our programs that we do is called Grow, and it's a holistic wellbeing workshop. And so we challenged this group of ladies one day to do something for their community. And so one lady baked some goodies and took them to her neighbour, and that's how a really special friendship started. So they now have coffee together every single morning. And I wonder, I don't know the neighbour at all, but I do wonder, what her story is, because I bet that the refugee woman is as much a blessing to that neighbour as it is vice versa. She might have been lonely. You just don't know, what impact it could be making.
Number 4 is to be grateful. I talk about this a lot. I think it's so important to just be grateful, but to take it that next step and to actually tell people that you're grateful.
Yes.
So send a card to someone to say thank you. Shoot someone a text saying thanks for your time. Just little things like that is actually a really great kindness thing. So, I don't know, when was the last time you got a card?
I did get one a few months ago.
Did you?
It made me feel a bit special.
Yeah.
Yep. It was from a local pastor who's not my pastor, and she just wrote a note to say thanks for all you're doing, and it made a big difference to, it just spurs you on to keep going. Yeah.
Ah, that's really cool.
When you change your perspective, right, when you change your thoughts, it changes your feelings, and your feelings change your behaviour. And if you focused on being grateful, and being really mindful of that, it can change your whole life, right?
Yeah, that's cool. And the last one, so number 5, which I think is going to be a big one for you, is to volunteer. Is to give some time back to your community and to just get to meet other people and to, just show your community that you love them by giving your time. You would have volunteers who work with You Belong?
Oh, we do, yeah. We have a great army of volunteers, but there's also a great amount of refugees in Toowoomba who haven't connected with an Australian family yet, and so we're always welcoming new volunteers. I was listening to, at the homeless sleep out actually, this woman called Selena Tomasic. I think I said that right. She's the CEO of Hair Aid, and they provide haircuts for homeless people.
Wow.
And she talks about 2 hours of power. And her challenge is that you find 2 hours that you might waste, like on Facebook or something, and turn that around and use it to volunteer or, just do something that helps the community. And I quite liked that you can. It's easy to find 2 hours when you're, scrolling. By the time you add up half an hour each day on Facebook, and it quickly adds up to 2 hours, and maybe at the end of the month you can put that aside for some volunteer time.
Yeah. The thing I would love everyone to take out of this podcast today is that kindness can change community.
Absolutely.
And that incorporating other people into our community actually makes us all happier and healthier and safer. Yeah. Is that where you're at too?
Safer is a good word, yeah. If someone feels safe, they they flourish.
Yeah.
It gives them purpose.
The other little great thing about being kind to others is it's actually really good for us.
Yes.
So when we show kindness to other people, we get the boost. We get that felt so good to do that, as well as the other person. So if we're looking at this from a wellbeing point of view, it's actually good for us to be kind to others. So if you need a lift in the day, a random act of kindness or an intentional gratefulness to someone can really lift your mood and actually make your day better.
Absolutely.
How weird is that?
Oh.
It's so great. I do love that God works that way and has wired life to be that way. It's really great. My challenge that I'm going to lay down is to write a card, put it in the post, and tell someone that you're grateful for them. What do you think?
Nice. And put it in the post.
Yes.
Getting a letter, it makes all the difference,
It does.
right?
It's the best.
Yeah.
So there's my challenge for you. So Rachel, let's do a shameless plug for You Belong. Where can we find information?
You can find information at www.youbelong.org.au.
Great.
Or we're on Facebook under You Belong. But the website will direct you, for volunteering, or if you feel compelled to give financially, all those different ways.
Great.
Yeah, you can just follow the links.
Great. And when is the next picnic?
All in September or October.
Oh, and it's going to be dependent on group sizes.
Yes, it will be. But so there's going to be a few. We're not going to have that communal food. It's going to be a little bit different.
Okay.
But it'll still be a whole heap of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing with this episode of More Than Okay. We look forward to seeing you for many more.